Hello everyone, welcome to the Bodhi Academy. In today's video, we will continue the second chapter, that is biological classification from standard 11. So in the last class we had learnt about the kingdom Protista and the kingdom Fungi. Today we will see about the characteristics of the organisms in kingdom Plantae. Okay. So kingdom Plantae includes all eukaryotic chlorophyll containing organism. So all the organisms which are there in kingdom Plantae are chlorophyll containing, which is the green pigment which helps the plants to photosynthesize. Okay, so these are called plants. So a few members of these kingdom are partially heterotrophic. Okay, so these are the insectivorous plants which sometimes feed on the insects. They trap the insects and take the nutrients from those insects. Or a few of these plants are parasitic. Okay, parasitic means these plants will grow on a host plant, okay, and try to derive nutrients from them, water and nutrients from that host plant. So bladderwort and Venus flytrap are example of the insectivorous plants, and Cuscuta is an example of a parasite and insectivorous plants. Then the plant cell have eukaryotic structure with prominent chloroplasts. So the plant cell is eukaryotic. Okay, means we have prokaryotic cells and eukaryotic cells. So eukaryotic cells are those in which there is a proper nucleus which is present, and many other cell organelles are also present. All this about eukaryotic and prokaryotic cells we will learn in the further lessons. So they have chloroplast and cell wall mainly made up of cellulose. So the cell wall of these organisms is made up of cellulose. Now the kingdom Plantae includes algae, bryophytes, pteridophytes, gymnosperm and angiosperms. Okay, so algae are the small organisms or the organisms found in fresh water or marine water. Okay, so the marine algae or the freshwater algae. Then in bryophytes we have Anthocerus, then Rixia, okay, mosses, all of those. Then pteridophytes are all the ferns. Gymnosperms are the trees like cycas, pine trees and all, okay, in which the seeds of the plant are naked, okay, without the covering. Then they also do not have flowers. Then angiosperms are the flowering plants in which the seeds are enclosed in the ovum. Then the life cycle of this plant have two distinct phases. The first one is the diploid saprophytic phase and the haploid gametophytic phase, and they alternate with each other. Okay, so the saprophytic and the gametophytic phase of these plants will alternate with each other. Now about all this, the alternation of generations and all, we will learn in the separate chapter, that is the kingdom Plantae. Now here is a brief information about the kingdom Animalia. So the kingdom is characterized by heterotrophic eukaryotic organisms. Okay, so the organisms found in this kingdom are eukaryotic, that is they have the cell with proper nucleus and everything. Heterotrophic means heterotrophic type of nutrition, meaning they feed on other organisms. Okay, they cannot prepare their own food. Then they are multicellular and their cell lacks cell wall. Okay, so in plants we had cell wall, presence of cell wall, and we had chlorophyll. Okay, chlorophyll containing chloroplast. Then in animal kingdom these were autotrophic. Okay, they could prepare their own food. Whereas in animal kingdom the organisms are heterotrophic Then they are eukaryotic, they are multicellular, they will lack the cell wall. Okay, so these organisms will lack the cell wall and they are heterotrophic, and these are also mostly multicellular organisms. Okay, then they directly or indirectly depend on the plants for food. So they obtain their food from either plants or they feed on the animals which use plants as the source of their energy. Then they grow a definite, they have a definite growth pattern and show a definite size and shape. Then the sexual reproduction in this kingdom Animalia is by copulation of female and male followed by the embryological development. Okay, so all these in detail about the animal kingdom we'll learn in the chapter number 4. Okay, so let us move forward to viruses, viroids, prions and lichens. Now what are these? In the 5 kingdom classification, the Whittaker did not classify or group lichens or viruses. Okay, why? Because viruses are not considered as living. Okay, so we have here viruses did not find a place in classification since they are not considered truly living. Okay, what it means is that viruses are non-cellular organisms. They do not have the definite cell structure. Okay, so they are non-cellular organisms that are characterized by having an inert crystalline structure outside the living cell. So they do not have a they only have a inert crystalline structure outside the living cell, and once these cells, so these are example of 2 viruses, the tobacco mosaic virus and the bacteriophage. So when these cells, what they do, they infect the other cells, okay, the plant cell or the animal cell, and once they infect these cells, they will take over the machinery of the host cell and try to replicate themselves. Okay, so what this will do, so if we have a plant cell, for example, what these viruses will do, they will come and infect this plant cell, and they will try to use all the machinery of this cell. So they will use the machinery of this host cell to replicate themselves. Okay, and they will form small viruses, okay, inside these cells. So they will multiply inside it, and then after the multiplication is done, this cell which is there, it will rupture and all the viruses will move out. Okay, so this is how they multiply. They do not have their own system of multiplication or replication. So this is why since they cannot replicate on their own and depend on a host cell, they are not considered as living organisms. So virus means venom or poison fluid, and these viruses were identified as the causal organisms for the mosaic disease of tobacco. Okay, so this is the tobacco mosaic virus which causes the mosaic disease in tobacco plant. So many such viruses were found. Now these viruses which are there, these are obligate parasites. That means they have to depend on other host organisms to carry out their this thing. Okay, carry out their replication and all. So as I have said, they depend on the other cells to multiply. So that is why they are called as obligate parasites. They cannot multiply on their own. Now in addition to proteins, these viruses also contain genetic material that could be either RNA or DNA. Okay, now both RNA and DNA cannot be found in the same virus. It could be either RNA or DNA. So a virus is a nucleoprotein and a genetic material is infections. So in general, viruses that infect plants have single-stranded RNA, and viruses that infect animals have either single-stranded or double-stranded RNA or double-stranded DNA. Okay, so those which infect plants have single-stranded RNA, and those that infect animals have either single-stranded or double-stranded RNA, or they have double-stranded DNA. Okay, now let us learn something about the structure of these viruses. So these viruses, the bacterial viruses or the bacteriophages, these are the bacteriophages. Bacteriophage means those virus which attack or those which infect the bacteria. Okay, viruses that infect the bacteria are called as the bacteriophages, and they have usually double-stranded DNA. Now their structure is, they have a protein coat that is called as the capsid. Okay, so this is the capsid. Now this entire thing which you see, the coat, is called the capsid. Now here this is the capsid, and it is made up of small subunits called the capsomeres. Okay, so each of these are the capsomeres which make up the capsid, that is the protective covering of the virus, which will protect the genetic material, the DNA or RNA which is present. So the capsomeres are arranged in helical or polyhedral geometric forms. Then it is given that this can cause many diseases such as mumps, smallpox, herpes. So these are mostly infecting organisms. Okay, so influenza, AIDS, so all these diseases are caused by viruses. Then let us learn about viroids, prions, and lichens. So about viruses, we have seen why they are not considered in the biological classification, because they are not usually considered as living organisms, because they depend on the host, because they are obligate parasite. Then they are non-cellular organisms which take over the machinery of the host cell on entering it and become living, but as they have inert crystalline structure that appear non-living, so it is difficult to call them living or non-living. Then these we have already discussed, they are the obligate parasites. Then viroids. So the viroids are infecting agents, so these are also infectious agents. Then they have free RNA, okay, meaning they lack the protein coat. Now how in viruses we had the protein coat made up of capsomeres, okay, the capsid, so that is lacking in these viroids. Then RNA has low molecular weight. Then these viroids causes potato spindle tuber disease, okay, in potato, so it causes the spindle tuber disease. Then these were discovered by Theo Dehner. Then the last part are the lichens. So lichens are symbiotic association between algal component and the fungal component. Okay, so lichens are a symbiotic association between algae and fungi. Okay, so these are symbiotic association between algae and fungi. Symbiotic meaning the relationship in which both the organisms are benefited. Okay, they share the nutrients, water. Okay, they share both these, and both the organisms are benefited. Then algae provides the food and fungi provides shelter and absorb water and nutrients for the alga. Okay, so these algae will provide food, whereas fungi will provide shelter and absorb nutrients. So it will Now what is happening here is that the fungi will absorb all these nutrients and water and supply it to the algae, which then will prepare the food. Okay, it will photosynthesize, prepare the food, and then they will share. So both the organisms are benefited in this way. Then these lichens are good indicators of pollution, means good pollution indicators, as they do not grow in polluted areas. So they do not grow in polluted areas. So if in an area there are no lichens, or if the percentage of lichens is becoming less and less, we can it is kind of indicated that the area is getting polluted. So this is all in this chapter. We have learnt about the biological classification, the 5 kingdoms, that is the kingdom Monera, Protista, fungi, Animalia and Plantae. We have also learnt about the viroids, viruses and the lichens. Now this is all in this chapter. Thank you for watching my video. Please like, share and subscribe to the Bodhi Academy.